If I may begin with some private reflections. I wanted to make a video purely honouring the life and achievements of Australia's most inspirational leader, Edward Gough Whitlam, whose physical stature alone of 193 centimetres must have made him wonder on more than one occasion.
I don't think I'm in Australia anymore. The people are way too small. Am I in Lilliput? Ah!
Oh my god! I'm about to get crushed by Gough Whitlam.
However, unfortunately, Australia's most two unstable volcanoes, who sadly, instead of lava, spurt stupidity over their massive audiences of people who still smoke Winfield cigarettes because they think the pictures of dead babies and rotting lungs on the front covers are
Kind of like trivia on a beer bottle cap. Must be a recipe suggestion. Yum.
Wormtongue from Lord of the Rings, and maybe hasn't got those massive eyesore growths that blight his very nerdy grey civil servant face burnt off because they're controlling his mind, Andrew Bolt, who did their absolute best to drag the name of Australia's Nelson Mandela through the dirt, which is in no way a noble act. It's not like exposing the real Jebediah Springfield. Instead, what these two filthy little bridge trolls have done is the equivalent of a Greek man spreading lies about King Leonidas, or an American finding fault with Earl Sneed Sinclair from Dinosaurs.
How could you? What's not to love?
In just a few hours of Mr. Whitlam's passing, these two overweight vultures were grave robbing the image of our most precious national treasure. Not that I think there's anything wrong with speaking ill of the dead, because I don't know about you guys, but as soon as Andrew Bolt carks it, I'm definitely going to be doing a lot of that. But what I found so disgraceful about these articles is that in order to smear Gough Whitlam's name, Andrew Bolt had to invent a fictitious Gough Whitlam. The man he's scolding doesn't exist. It's a figment of his thick, Goomba head's poor excuse of an imagination. And so to ensure that Andrew Bolt's Frankenstein Gough is kept only within the confines of his peasant pitchfork mob readers, let us all
Bolt's abomination. Yeah, this is the real no spin, Joe.
And fair warning, this is going to be a massive undertaking, so in the words of Brian Tracy, let's eat that frog. Let's do the hardest task first. Let's blow away this grotesque political perversion the right has been repeating to themselves like a serial killer in a cell, refusing to admit the abhorrent and undeniable guilt in destroying democracy on the 11th of November 1975, weaseling away the elected right to govern from a man so great that even if Mr. Whitlam pissed on Andrew Bolt, even at 98, Andrew Bolt would have finally realised.
My growths, they've withered and died. I can finally see the light. Thanks, Whitlam.
Here's just one of his keyboard mashings that somehow turned into a sentence. With the budget blown and the international oil shock hitting a weakened economy, the Whitlam government saw unemployment nearly triple, tax take double, the deficit blowout, and inflation soar. By oil shock, disfigured Neanderthal Andrew Bolt is referring to the 1973 oil crisis. No one refers to it as a shock. It was the most severe economic condition since the Great Depression. He lived through them, and while thinking about how to purposefully delude his own zoo animal audience, would have had flashbacks of himself lining up for petrol like it was bred in the Soviet Union, and still went on to gingerly sift in that deliberately selected euphemism so that his pea-brained audience remembers the oil crisis as nothing more than, ooh, you gave me a shock. Anyway, now that unpleasantness is behind us, yay!
Hey, Margaret, her son.
1973. By brushing over the 1973 oil crisis in less than half a sentence, Andrew Bolt is communicating to his obese from eating too many Sandboy Chips packets audience that...
Alright guys, history lesson for today.
Can I suck Nutella through me nostrils, Mr. Bolt? My teeth are starting to rot.
I don't know, mate, I can't help you with that. I'm here to talk about Whitlam's terrible treatment of the economy
and how the fact that the single commodity which our entire civilization runs off overnight quadrupling in price, meaning that out of nowhere, and really pay attention to this, guys.
Okay, time to lift some mental weights, Davey boy.
As everything becoming 400% more expensive overnight obviously crippled the global economy, so to claim that Mr. Whitlam is responsible for inflation, quote, soaring. He didn't even say the percentage point because he obviously does about as much research as a C- year 7 student. Oh, come on, my source was what my mum remembered. But it was 14%. When Japan's was 23%. The US, despite all its power to shape the global economy to suit its own agenda, was at 11%. France at 14%, the UK at 16%, Italy at 20%. In fact, every Western nation on Earth was experiencing the exact same economic factors that Mr. Bolt attributes to Gough Whitlam.
Yeah, but I still say Andrew Bolt's point, man, because, like, Gough Whitlam wasn't a wizard, so, I mean, if Merlin was Prime Minister at the time, we'd be in a much better position, man. You gotta admit that.
See, at least one guy's listening. That is all I'm trying to say. Why is this so controversial? Merlin was the man for 72. In fact, we did comparatively quite well, purely because of Gough Whitlam's economic policies. And I'm going to explain in greater detail as to why this is the case in later videos, but because I'm only supposed to speak for
3 minutes! 3 minutes to explain the global economy in the 70s!
I obviously never do, but I can give you a very brief overview for now because the official OECD stats speak for themselves. In 1972, the year Whitlam was elected, Australia was, in terms of economic growth, 22nd out of 24 OECD nations. That's how terrible the Liberal Party is with economic management. Only countries like Belgium and Turkey were looking up to William McMahon and wondering, what is his secret? How did he get to 22? By the end of Whitlam's government, in just 3 years, Australia jumped 18 places. We went from the bottom 3 to the top 5 in 3 years. 4th place in the world, and within 2 years of Malcolm Fraser becoming Prime Minister, who Paul Keating once rather amusingly quipped during question time of Parliament one day.
You look like an Easter Island statue with a bunch of razor blades up its ass, mate.
Excuse me? We were again down to 22nd place. I couldn't focus on the economy. Paul Keating hurt my feelings. I'm taking the pledge right now. I don't care how long it takes. Even if I'm a 40-year-old man, I'm still going to be making videos in my spare time about.
And then Andrew Bolt 20 years ago said, I'm blind from looking at the computer screen for a decade straight. You didn't see me for 3 weeks, Daddy. I'm a ghost now. Stop haunting me, Jeffrey! I've gotta learn Braille! Whitlam!
I'm going to dispel every last one of these dimly expressed lies this secondary Kurz-Kerr attempted to seep into Mr. Whitlam's legacy, because a man with the intelligence, vision, and unshakable determination of Gough Whitlam deserves far better than to become the everyday intellectual awful mix Bolt chucks at his Shenzi, Barnsley, and Ed audience to satisfy their nervous shiverings in a world
That we can't possibly comprehend, so somebody please give us really simple answers to why our lives make penis snakes mutter.
Glad I'm not that guy. I told you this was going to be a massive undertaking. So let me just thank you in advance for watching part 1 of Gough Whitlam. Who can't deny that? Who can't deny he about, mate?
Please press the subscribe button now.
Come on.